All right, back to work this week after a Sunday night West Coast trip. So we'll have a modified week of practice. Today will be a walkthrough. Tomorrow will be a modified practice. We'll get some at speed and then a little bit of a jog through as well. And then Friday will be full speed. But really just trying to focus on getting the guys ready physically and mentally. What we talked about today is no matter the tempo of our practice, fast or slow, the standard is the same, right? The standard for practice is always very high. The tempo of practice should never change that. So we'll look forward to a good week of practice.
How do you go about, or how did you in this case go about kind of deciding how to play that out? Obviously the long trip, but is that what it boils down to, or is there more?
Yeah, it's the trip, it's the health of the team, it's talking to our sports science people, getting a feel from players, just a general sense from players, where we are in the year. Really, it's a group thing. I ended up having to make the call. That's just a gut feeling of what I think is best to get us right. One of the things I learned from Marv Levy, back in the day was when you get to this time of year on these kind of things, you're always better off to err on the side of getting them more rested rather than driving them into the ground. So kind of taking a lesson from his playbook there.
And then from your own experience now, 4 years in, you've had some of these instances where you've pulled back and gone the other way as well. What have you learned from those experiences, and has it usually gone the way you anticipated?
Yeah, our experience here has been when we've pulled back, it's usually been good. Not 100%, but it's been good. Because the guys, they just really dial in mentally to what we'll do today, understand how important every rep is. We try to make an emphasis on, even though we're not going full speed, we can still have good pad level, we can still have our hat in the right place, our footwork can still be good, but then physically get recharged and get ready to go.
Carson, are you starting to see some of the Carson of 2017, 2018 come back a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say it that way, Bob. I probably, this is my fault, I probably want to start talking in terms of, that was a great year, when I was with him, but I probably need to do a better job of focusing on, hey, he's here now. I'm really looking for the new the Colts version of him that can where he just keeps getting better and better. And but what we are seeing is he's playing good football, but what we talk about is every week is a new week, and we can always get better, and we have to get better, and he has to get better. We all do. So I really like the way he's pushing the ball down the field, how aggressively he's thinking, but still making good decisions, checking it down when he needs to. He's doing a great job in the run game, when we need to get to the right checks in the run game, managing the game the right way and making plays and being good situationally. And then last week we saw him make a couple plays with his feet, but without going crazy doing that. So we're trying to find that right balance.
In what ways has he developed from week one until right now?
I just think a lot of it's just getting more confidence, in the system and the players, and then just the more reps, more practice reps. I just think has breeded more confidence, not only in him but in our whole team, and it's been good for me. As the play caller and working with him again, just getting a feel for our offense with him as our quarterback. It's not, it doesn't just happen like that. It's just a little bit of a feel as we go.
I know you talk to your analytics guys a lot about in-game stuff. Do you talk to them this week about the division and what would happen with a win, what would happen with a loss, and if you do you tell your team those implications?
Yeah, those guys feed me all that information. What happens in a tie? What happens in a tie? All those scenarios. It's a little soon for some of that stuff. We haven't had those discussions at this point, but before too long, I'm sure we will. Right now, it's 1-0. We knew we put ourselves in a hole, and we're still digging ourselves out of that hole.
Have you guys made a decision on right guard for this week?
No, we're gonna. Those guys are gonna. At some level, those guys are gonna split the reps. So haven't made. We'll make a decision later in the week as far as a starter. But either way we go, those guys are gonna split the reps.
Is it hard not to think about the magnitude of this game because it is the team that is in first place in the division that has already beaten you once this year? That winning into the division becomes a bigger obstacle because they've swept you if you guys lose this game?
Yeah, I think we all understand, Mike, exactly what you're saying, the magnitude of the game, but really the challenge is to stay focused on preparation. Blowing up the magnitude of the game, in our day-to-day preparations probably doesn't really do a lot. I mean, these guys are pretty motivated. We all work very hard. Really, all that's going to win this game is execution. So actually, the emotion, sometimes what my experience is, the emotion of a game can become a distraction. You know, you want to find a way to use the emotion in a positive way to give you a little bit of extra juice, but I just think that can be overplayed. And if you get too amped up, it doesn't normally end well. I mean, because you get amped up for what, a play, a series? You got to play well for 60 minutes. So that's really what we're focused on, you know, doing the little things right, being smart, being good situationally, being physical, being tough. We know we're going up against that kind of a team, and so we need to be at our best.
With the analytics, I mean, you guys drew like 4 or 5 DPIs last week. You don't look at your chart and say 3rd and 10, okay, let's pull up the DPI. But is there something to drawing those? I mean, with Pittman and Carson, and throwing it up and say either you get it or...
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. And, you know, a lot of times you say, hey, we throw a ball deep, and there's, you know, few things that can happen. A lot of them are good for the offense, you know. And what you hope is the percentage of interception is low, because then your guy can play defender if he has to. But we can get a reception, we can get DPI. Hopefully the worst thing that happens is an incompletion. So, but it takes an aggressive mindset, and it takes a quarterback and a receiver who know how to make those plays. And you know, right now we're making them, but again, no guarantees. And there is an art and a skill to it. There's an instinct, and there's an instinct and a savviness to it. And obviously, Pitt did a good job on that last week, and so did Kiki. You know, Kiki did a real good job down the middle. I mean, it was obviously a legit call, but he still did a very good job.
With Kiki, has it just been taking some time to get him into the offense? What do you see out of him? Obviously, he's a guy who's played a lot and he's made a lot of catches.
Yeah, he's fast, he's quick, he's tough, he's smart. We like him. You know, we like him. I mean, it's a good room. And, you know, I've been bragging about this room from the very start of training camp, and you know, Chris and I have been talking about, man, we'd love to get him on the field. So this is, you know, his opportunity came up last week, and he did well.
One of the few knocks on JT coming out is that he didn't catch a lot of passes in Wisconsin. Now, when you're running for 2,000 yards, they don't need you to catch a lot of passes. Did you challenge him to get better in that area? And I talked to Scotty, and he said kind of the same thing. And how has he changed in that regard?
He just committed to it. You know, I mean, we had a pretty good sense of him coming out that he did have good ball skills. You know, and I had another back that came out, you know, Melvin Gordon come out of there, and same thing with him, and he's good out of the backfield. So Chris and I were not distracted by the fact that he didn't catch a lot of balls in college. We saw enough in the workout. We could tell through the interviews, a really smart guy who's got a great work ethic is going to, hey, you ask him, hey, we need you to learn this. You know, here's our route tree for running backs. We need you to become an expert at it. Here's the way we do protections, and we want you to be a 3-down back, so you're going to have to become an expert at this. And, you know, he's just willing to put in the work.
Did you expect this much from him this soon? He's one of the best running backs in football.
Yeah, I would say it's fair to say that I would fair to say he's exceeding my expectations. I think he's outstanding. I think he's one of the best players in the league. I give Chris a lot of credit. I think, not that I didn't think he was going to be great, but I think Chris saw this in him from the very start. I remember Chris telling me about him. Yeah, exactly. He was a little biased, but he happened to be right.
Yeah, you guys are so much on situational, excelling in situations. You guys are winning the turnover battle, but you're off the charts in scoring off of turnovers offensively. That's just not by chance, is it? I mean, you're like plus 50 or 60, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, no, not much by chance in this league. You know, it really comes down to players understanding the situation and then, you know, making the plays that are needed. Capitalizing on opportunity. You know, we talk a lot about opportunity, right? You know, all those present are opportunities. This week is an opportunity. We get a turnover. It's an opportunity. There's no guarantees what happens with those opportunities you get. We got to make something happen with them. I think the players own that, buy into that, and do a good job with it.